Chicago, once celebrated as one of America's most vibrant economic centers and cultural hubs, now faces a daunting set of challenges that threaten to undermine its status as a global city. Known historically as the Second City and a powerhouse of industry, transportation, finance, and culture, Chicago's influence has been waning in recent decades. Rising crime rates, population loss, economic stagnation in certain areas, and strained public resources have created concerns about the city's future. Yet, Chicago is a city of resilience and innovation, with unique assets and opportunities that can be harnessed to reverse these trends. To understand why Chicago is losing economic power and safety, and how it might reclaim its vitality, we need to explore its history, economy, social fabric, governance, and ongoing efforts toward renewal. Chicago's rise as an economic powerhouse began in the 19th century, leveraging its geographic advantage as a nexus between the East Coast and the expanding West. Situated on Lake Michigan and connected by railroads and waterways, Chicago became the critical hub for agricultural goods, livestock, and manufactured products. The Union Stockyards, established in 1865, became the largest meat processing center in the world, earning Chicago the nickname Hog Butcher for the World, immortalized by poet Carl Sandburg. The city's industrial strength extended to steel production, machinery, and transportation equipment, and it grew rapidly as immigrants arrived in search of work and opportunity. During the 20th century, Chicago diversified its economy, with finance, insurance, publishing, and technology industries growing alongside manufacturing. The Chicago Board of Trade became a leading commodity exchange, and the city developed one of the most extensive rail and trucking networks in the country. Educational institutions like the University of Chicago and Northwestern University contributed to a culture of research and innovation. However, by the latter half of the 20th century, Chicago, like many other industrial cities, faced deindustrialization. The decline of manufacturing jobs due to automation, globalization, and outsourcing hit blue-collar workers in their communities hard. Factories closed and entire neighborhoods experienced economic decline. The loss of stable manufacturing employment contributed to rising unemployment, poverty, and social dislocation. One of the most visible manifestations of Chicago's struggles has been its population loss. The city peaked at about 3.6 million residents in 1950, but today has fewer than 2.7 million people. This decline results from multiple factors, including suburbanization, economic restructuring, and migration out of the city due to concerns about crime and quality of life. While some neighborhoods have thrived or gentrified, many others have faced disinvestment, poverty, and decay. Chicago's safety challenges are well known and often dominate national media coverage. The city has struggled with high levels of violent crime, particularly gun violence. In recent years, Chicago has experienced thousands of shootings annually, with hundreds of homicides, rates that far exceed the national average and contribute to residents' fears. While crime is concentrated in certain neighborhoods, the effects ripple citywide, discouraging investment and impacting public perception. The root causes of this violence are complex and interwoven with economic and social factors. High unemployment, educational disparities, poverty, racial segregation, and the legacy of discriminatory housing policies have created conditions where crime can thrive. Gang activity and the illegal firearms trade also fuel violence. Community police relations have been strained, complicating effective law enforcement and crime prevention. Fiscal challenges further constrain Chicago's ability to respond effectively. The city grapples with budget deficits, legacy pension obligations, and a shrinking tax base due to population decline and economic disparities. Much of the city's revenue is tied up in fixed costs, leaving limited funds for new investments in education, public safety, infrastructure, and economic development. Despite these hurdles, Chicago has many assets that provide a foundation for revitalization. Its transportation infrastructure remains world-class, with O'Hare International Airport among the busiest, globally, extensive rail connections, and a robust public transit system. The city's universities and research institutions drive innovation and talent development. Chicago's diverse cultural institutions and neighborhoods offer richness and resilience. Addressing Chicago's economic and safety challenges requires a multidimensional strategy. Economic revitalization efforts must focus on creating good jobs through workforce development, supporting entrepreneurship, and attracting investment in emerging sectors like technology, clean energy, and advanced manufacturing. Special attention to equity and inclusion is critical to ensure benefits reach historically marginalized communities. Public safety initiatives should incorporate community-based policing, violence prevention programs, youth engagement, and mental health services alongside traditional law enforcement. Strengthening partnerships between police, residents, social services, and community organizations builds trust and effectiveness. Improving education and social services is essential for long-term stability. Investments in schools, affordable housing, healthcare access, and transportation connectivity improve quality of life and economic opportunity. Addressing systemic racism and segregation through fair housing policies and inclusive urban planning can break cycles of poverty and crime. Fiscal sustainability is crucial. Reforms to pension systems, transparent budgeting, and innovative public-private partnerships can free resources for critical investments, while restoring confidence among taxpayers and investors. In recent years, some progress has been made. Neighborhood revitalization projects, public safety reforms, and economic development programs have yielded pockets of success. Technology hubs, small business incubators, and community initiatives demonstrate Chicago's potential for renewal. Yet, much remains to be done. Chicago's challenges reflect broader trends affecting many legacy industrial cities in America and around the world. The city's experience underscores the need for adaptive strategies that balance growth with equity, safety with opportunity, and tradition with innovation. Understanding the full scope of Chicago's economic and safety decline requires deeper examination of its demographics, industry shifts, policy decisions, and social dynamics. For example, Chicago remains one of the most segregated cities in the United States, with clear racial and economic divides separating neighborhoods. This segregation correlates strongly with disparities in access to quality education, jobs, and safety resources. Addressing segregation and its consequences is critical to building a unified and prosperous city. The city's industrial decline was precipitous. Between 1950 and 2000, manufacturing employment fell by more than 70%. This loss was concentrated in predominantly African-American neighborhoods on the south and west sides, intensifying economic inequality and social dislocation. While sectors like finance and healthcare grew, many displaced workers lacked access to retraining or new opportunities, exacerbating unemployment and poverty. Education disparities remain a major barrier. Chicago public schools serve a majority-minority student population, many from low-income households. Chronic underfunding, teacher shortages, and facility challenges have led to poor outcomes in some areas. Educational achievement gaps contribute to cycles of poverty and limit workforce readiness. Housing affordability and quality also vary dramatically. Gentrification in some neighborhoods has displaced long-time residents, while others struggle with abandoned properties and substandard housing. Homelessness and housing insecurity are ongoing concerns. Crime data reveal geographic concentrations. Neighborhoods like Englewood, Austin, and West Garfield Park on the south and west sides experience the highest rates of violence. Community organizations and local leaders in these areas have launched innovative violence interruption programs and youth outreach efforts, often with mixed results due to resource constraints and systemic challenges. Chicago's police department has faced scrutiny and reform efforts following high-profile incidents of misconduct. Building trust through transparency, accountability, and community engagement is essential for effective policing. On the economic front, Chicago benefits from a diverse economy that includes not only finance and healthcare, but also technology, education, transportation, and tourism. The city is home to major corporate headquarters such as Boeing, United Airlines, McDonald's, and Caterpillar. Its central location facilitates logistics and distribution, with over 400 trucking companies operating in the metropolitan area. Chicago has also invested in innovation districts and startup incubators to foster entrepreneurship. The 1871 Tech Hub in the Merchandise Mart is one example, supporting hundreds of startups and attracting venture capital. These efforts aim to create a new economic engine to offset manufacturing losses. Nevertheless, the cost of doing business and living in Chicago remains relatively high compared to many competitors. Tax rates, regulatory complexity, and crime concerns can deter companies and workers. Balancing competitiveness with quality of life is a delicate task. Infrastructure remains a strength and challenge. O'Hare International Airport is undergoing a $8.5 billion modernization project, the largest in its history, to improve passenger experience and capacity. The city's public transit system, operated by the Chicago Transit Authority, CTA, carries millions daily but faces aging infrastructure and funding gaps. Investment in transportation connectivity is critical for equitable economic growth. Chicago's cultural vibrancy continues to be a draw. The Art Institute of Chicago, Chicago Symphony Orchestra, theater scene, sports teams, and diverse culinary offerings contribute to tourism and quality of life. Festivals and neighborhood events showcase the city's ethnic and cultural mosaic. To fix Chicago's economic and safety problems, coordinated efforts across government levels, private sector, nonprofits, and communities are required. Comprehensive plans must address root causes rather than symptoms. Investing in education is fundamental. Early childhood education, improved school facilities, teacher recruitment, and expanded vocational training can prepare youth for a changing economy. Partnerships with businesses can align training with market demands. Workforce development programs must target displaced workers, minorities, and underserved areas, providing skills in technology, healthcare, and trades. Job placement and support services improve success rates. Housing policies should promote affordable options, support homeownership, and prevent displacement. Neighborhood revitalization must include community input to preserve cultural identity. Public safety strategies should combine enhanced policing with social services, conflict mediation, and youth engagement. Expanding mental health and addiction treatment reduces factors contributing to crime. Fiscal reform, including pension adjustments and streamlined budgeting, can free funds for strategic investments. Transparency and citizen participation foster trust. Technology and innovation must be embraced while ensuring equitable access. Expanding broadband, supporting startups, and encouraging STEM education create future opportunities. Chicago's future depends on its ability to leverage assets while addressing deep inequalities and systemic challenges. Its rich history of innovation, diversity, and resilience provides hope. The city that once rebuilt after the Great Chicago Fire and survived economic upheavals can do so again. In conclusion, Chicago's loss of economic power and safety is the result of decades of structural changes, social challenges, and policy choices. But with a comprehensive, inclusive approach focusing on economic diversification, social investment, public safety reform, and governance improvements, Chicago can restore its vitality and promise for all its residents.